afternoon, everyone. Is this on? Welcome to the Environment Committee. Today is, Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. Call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda has been passed. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing nothing, the minutes have been approved. We've broken our business agenda down into two parts. There's a consent agenda, and there are 3 items on it. Is there anybody that has any objection to those items?
I move the consent agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda has been passed. In the non-consent agenda, item 4, it's 2018-91, Golden Valley and Minneapolis Interceptor Rehabilitation Contract Award, and Mr. Scott Dentz is going to present. Welcome, Scott.
Good afternoon. Madam Chair, this item requests authorization for the regional administrator to award and execute a construction contract for the Golden Valley and Minneapolis Interceptor Rehabilitation Project 87635, contract 17P030, to SAC Construction LLC for their low responsible bid. Recent inspections of these interceptors have found corroded pipe and corroded maintenance structures along stretches of 1MM 320, 1GB 460, and 461 in the cities of Minneapolis and Golden Valley. This work includes at Site 1 is separated into 2 sites. Site 1 is at Bassett Creek Valley Park and includes about 1,000 feet of 42-inch concrete pipe that will be lined. We'll also deal with the manholes at that site. Also included is a Site 2, which is at the northeast corner of Worth Lake, where the interceptors cross Highway 55. Again, corrosion damage, where we have 1,525 lineal feet of 36 and 1,080 lineal feet of 42-inch concrete pipe that's corroded and needs to be lined. We will use cured and placed pipe there as well, and also rehabilitate the manhole structures. All this work is proposed to occur in 2018. We received 5 bids on March 6th of this year, and they range from $2,764,874 to $3,703,997.50. We had an engineer's estimate of $2,937,890. The project has an MCUB goal of 5%. The Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity has determined that SAC Construction LLC has met the goal set for the project with a commitment of 6.79 participation. This project or this action advances the Thrive Outcome Stewardship, where we use financial resources efficiently and effectively to maintain and restore existing wastewater infrastructure, which in turn protects the region's natural resources. It will support the region's well-being over the long term. It also will protect natural resources and investing in infrastructure to promote economic competitiveness. It'll will promote competitiveness of the region by having a well-run, maintained system.
Turns that way
So in summary, I want to
into Glen.
summarize the proposed action that we are requesting that the Met Council authorize the regional administrator to award and execute a construction contract for the Golden Valley and Minneapolis Interceptor Rehabilitation, Project 807635, contract 17P030 with SAC Construction LLC for their low responsible bid of $2,764,874. And with that, are there any questions?
Council members, questions? Councilmember Lutovsky.
We've determined we have some questions here. And they might be stupid, but we're going to ask them anyway.
I'm with her.
I'm wondering actually if you know how old these pipes are.
I did not, Madam Chair, I did not anticipate that question, but these are fairly old. I bet they're 50 years old.
How many?
I can check
50?
and get back to you.
That'd be fun. I'd actually like to know that. And then I wonder if traffic is going to be impacted on Glenwood.
Madam Chair, traffic will not be impacted on Highway 55. Use of this system allows us to line beneath the highway without blocking traffic.
Excellent. Thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Schreiber.
And I should know this, but I don't, because I don't have it memorized, what the routes are for the BRT, for the bus rapid transit, and ultimately the Blue Line extension. But some of it I know goes by Theodore Worth Park. And how well do you coordinate with our Metro Transit to make sure this coordinates what they have planned for transit improvements going north from this area?
Madam Chair, we are, I believe this is what you're referring to. We are working with transit and the Blue Line Rapid Transit. It's the LRT system, and while that's not part of this individual project, we are working with them on another project, and some of our facilities will have to be relocated as a result of the light rail work. And that project is currently under design by Transit and us, our consultants, and will be bid, I believe, later this year.
It's not this project you're talking about?
Madam Chair, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry. It's not this particular project that needs to be relocated, though?
Madam Chair, no, it is not this project. It's another one.
Okay, thank you.
Two questions. Have we worked with SAK before?
Madam Chair, yes, we have.
Since we've been here, I just don't recall the name, but that shouldn't surprise you or me.
Madam Chair, there's been at least 2 projects I believe
Okay.
they've worked on.
And then the other question really kind of deals to do with the habitat. I mean, I'm
Not hearing.
a bit, even though I'm from the East Metro, I've been to Theodore Worth. I mean, is there any habitat issues that we have concerns with as we, put this new pipe in?
Madam Chair, this is a non-intrusive
Okay, so-
method. Basically, the impacts would be temporary conveyance lines laid on the ground.
Okay.
And where we do maintenance structure rehabilitation, we may have to take the top of the structure off. So there'd be minimal disturbance to the surface.
All right. Thanks.
Any additional questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that the Metropolitan Council authorize its regional administrator to award and execute a construction contract for Golden Valley and Minneapolis Interceptor Rehabilitation Project 807635, contract 17P030, to SAK Construction LLC for their low responsible bid of $2,764,874. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Dents.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is 2018-92 SW, the Southwest Metro Water Reclamation Facilities Plan. Welcome, Deborah. Deborah Manning is with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. The Southeast Metro Water Reclamation Facilities are the treatment, storage, and advance that, and distribution piping facilities needed to provide reclaimed water to SKB Environmental Enercom in their proposed facility in Invergrove Heights. And the treatment, as we previously discussed, the treatment and storage facilities would be located at the former Rosemont wastewater treatment plant site. And it's indicated by the box that says satellite treatment on the figure. The distribution pipeline would follow the route of the purple line on the figure. So this slide shows the proposed schedule for that project. And in a conference call today, SKB Enercom representatives stated that they are about 3 to 4 months behind schedule. Therefore, what's shown here under the design and construction phases for our facilities may be delayed accordingly. MCS staff is currently negotiating a memorandum of understanding and a design deposit agreement with Enercom. At the same time, we're pursuing Public Finance Authority loan funds and working on an agreement with MPCA to access the $300,000 reuse grant that the legislature authorized in the 2017 session. Working to secure the loan funds and the grant is consistent with the Wastewater Reuse Policy Task Force's finding that MCS should pursue non-council funds for reuse projects. To obtain a PFA loan, MCS must meet certain deadlines, and one of those deadlines is to submit a facility plan for approval to PCA and PFA. And MPCA and PFA staff have accommodated MCS as we've worked to move the project forward and meet those requirements, but not get ahead of the SKB Enercom project progress. So it's a bit of a dance, frankly. The time frame shown on this slide for the facility plan public hearing is August. The staff are working to accelerate that hearing date to May 31st so we can submit the plan to PFA sooner. We recognize that the council will just be wrapping up its wastewater reuse policy amendment process in mid-May, and that the agreements with Enercom will not be executed by May 31st. And ideally, these activities would occur in succession. However, in order to secure the PFA loan funds for fiscal year 2019, when the construction of the facilities is scheduled to occur, we must submit the facility plan with the results of the public comment process to MPCA and PFA as soon as possible. Therefore, we're requesting authorization to hold a public hearing by August. Thrive states that the council's role in wastewater reuse is to pursue reuse where economically feasible as a means to promote sustainable water resources. And the Water Resource Policy Plan further develops council policy. Staff's approach on the proposed project conforms with these policies. The proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize a public hearing to gather input on the facility plan for the Southeast Metro Water Reclamation Facilities.
Thank you, Deborah. Questions, comments? So help me understand, we're looking for a public hearing sometime in August, if not sooner.
Yes.
When do we have to have the application into PFA?
On a normal, Madam Chair, on a normal schedule, it would be by the beginning of March. Because we did not, that meant in order to meet that deadline, we would have had to have the public hearing, say in December or January. We felt that that would be getting ahead of SKB Enercom's project progress. And so we held off, and the PFA and the PCA have been working with us to accommodate our schedule and the project progress. We're getting to the point where we really need to get those submittals in.
Other questions or comments? Councilwoman Lepowski.
Thanks, Chair. Are we putting ourselves in a situation where we're going to go out for public comment on a project that isn't quite ready for public comment, that's still going to be changed?
Madam Chair, I think that, and council members, I think that there is a possibility of a number of things that the project won't proceed as, conceived or according to a schedule, or that it may change in some way. I think there is that risk. The concept has held, though, the concept that we would be talking about, the facility plan, has held for quite some time. So I don't think that our facilities would change to a significant extent, especially the treatment storage part of it. The pipeline might change a bit, but the concept has held for quite some time.
If there are no further comments or questions, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize a public hearing to gather public input on the facility plan for the Southwest Metro Water Reclamation Facilities. All those in favor, please say aye.
We need a motion.
We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. I knew I was missing something. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The proposed action takes place or is approved. Now we move to the information section of the meeting. And we're going to have a discussion about the public comments and proposed policy amendment to the Water Resources Policy Plan. Welcome back, Janine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the Council, the purpose of this presentation is to briefly provide the Environment Committee with the comments received on the proposed policy amendment for wastewater reuse. So as you all have seen this chart before, that is the alternatives that were presented to two public outreaches as well as were considered as part of a public hearing. Alternative 1 defines the institutional relationships that would be in place for the Metropolitan Council to pursue a wastewater reuse project. It further indicates that reclaimed water costs would be at a cost of service, case by case basis. And then alternatives 2 and 3 include a regional cost share. Alternative 2 is a regional cost share based on regional environmental and economic benefits. And alternative 3 includes a regional cost share based on regional wastewater system benefit only. So I'm not planning to go into detail because you've seen those alternatives in the past. Just as a quick review, we had 2 public workshops and a public hearing with about 50 people attending those events, which we thought was pretty good participation. So our next steps, if you notice, is that we're presenting the summary of the comments to you this evening, and then have asked that this item be placed on the Committee of the Whole agenda for next week, April 18th. After that discussion, it would come back to the Environment Committee to consider and recommend policy language to the Council, and then finally we would request that the Council act on the adoption of the recommended policy amendment May 9th. So you see it this evening, goes to the Committee of the Whole, and then comes back to you again. So the comments that we received were from representatives of the Minnesota Legislature, a number of labor-related organizations, a number of local communities, mostly or all of them were MCS wastewater customers. Metro Cities commented, SKB and Environmental, as well as the Department of Natural Resources. And the summary of the comments, again, this is just for illustration, but the summary of the comments are at your place. And then in the packet for next week for the Committee of the Whole, you will also receive the comments in total. So just some conclusions from the public comments. The comments reflect the varied opinions about regional cost share issue, which are pretty consistent with the task force findings, meaning that there was a split viewpoint and is consistent with previous council discussions. Also, the council's wastewater customers either support Alternative 3 or have provided comments on what they would like to see if the council proceeds with Alternative 3. For a pilot program, projects under consideration could proceed equally well under Alternative 2, which is a cost share based on environmental and economic benefits, or Alternative 3, which is a cost share based on the wastewater system. And then finally, given the council's commitment to collaboration and not competition with local communities regarding water supply overall, and particularly in its wastewater reuse activities, staff plans to recommend Alternative 3. So again, Alternative 3, staff is basing that recommendation on a wastewater reuse pilot program with a cost share component on wastewater system benefits of Alternative 3. The recommendation reflects listening to public comments, the council's commitment to sustainability and collaboration, the DNR's comments about water supply in this area, and then finally, Alternative 3 provides an avenue for the practice of wastewater reuse in the region to be advanced. It was clear during the conversations with communities at both the task force level, individual meetings that we had with cities, and also different conversations that we had with city officials, that the cities understand and support the council's role in economic growth in the region. However, they do not broadly support using the municipal wastewater charge as an economic development tool. Alternative 3 would provide for regional cost share through a pilot program. The criteria used to evaluate whether or not there would be a regional cost share would include, first of all, that the regional wastewater system has been built to serve long-term growth in a sub-regional area where water managers recognize concern about sustainable water supply and the importance to meet the needs of future generations while not harming ecosystems, degrading water, or reducing water levels. It also recognized a growing demand for groundwater that could be difficult to obtain without a groundwater use permit from the DNR. And finally, that the proposed reuse project reduces MCES's surface water discharge, delaying capital improvements to meet more stringent regulatory requirements. And the full policy language has been provided to the committee and is available for your review prior to the Committee of the Whole meeting. So again, we plan to go to the Committee of the Whole next week, then come back to the Environment Committee April 24th with a recommendation for the Council to adopt the policy amendment in May 9th. So as Deborah, this is a repeat of Deborah's comments that the 2040 Thrive Lens identifies that we will work with our partners, maximize regional benefits from regional investments, and provide efficient, high quality, sustainable wastewater services. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Committee members, questions or comments? We're quiet today. Well, this certainly has been discussed and rediscussed. So I guess Janine will see you. Oh, is there a question? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say I think it sounds great, and I'm appreciative of all of staff's efforts to find a way that everybody could agree on.
Yes, there was extensive amount of listening and talking, so I appreciate what you're saying. I think that's what makes this a good operation. There's a lot of listening going on. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. We'll see you next week, I guess. The next item on the agenda, Mr. Paskey, One Water Summit update.
Thank you, Madam Chair, council members. It's a good thing I only have an hour of material for you.
You'll be out by 6.
Maybe that depends more on you than me because I only have a page or so of content. About a year ago, a little more than that, we were invited by the U.S. Water Alliance to be the local host partner for the 2018 One Water Summit. And we had been exposed to this organization and what it does a little bit, and we were interested. So we attended the summit last summer, which was not here, and we're impressed. And we agreed, with council members agreeing as well, that it'd be a good opportunity to collaborate regionally and bring best practices in and learn and show off, frankly, some things we're doing that the rest of the nation might want to know about and that we're proud of. And so the Met Council is the local host partner for this year's 2018 One Water Summit in Minneapolis. It's in July, the 10th through the 12th. That's a Tuesday through Thursday, and there are some bookend events that are more focused that aren't really on the agenda on Monday and Friday. So I'm going to brief you, and I think I'm going to just say feel free to interrupt since there's a lot, and I'm going to try to keep it short and focused on what you want to know. This event will bring hundreds of folks to Minneapolis, water leaders from around the nation. Last year, I think they were around 500 people. This year, we're trying to target around 800 because in Minnesota, everyone cares about water. So we think there will be a pretty substantial local participation or regional participation. A little bit about the partner. The U.S. Water Alliance is a bit unique. It is a nonprofit. It's a group that advocates policy level ideas and programs to advance policy understanding. And it's unique in the sense that it is not focused in one sector or vertical like most are. Like, for instance, there's ANAQUA we belong to because it's a clean water agency group. It's mostly wastewater companies. And then there's AWWA, which is waterworks organizations. And in a one water world or an integrated planning world, those organizations are seeing a need to get together and share how they're, just like with the reuse discussion, it's a multiple benefits. One area is doing a little more, but multiple areas are benefiting. So how do you advance that cross-silo, cross-sector collaboration? And that's what this group is all about. And they're pretty unique. They're really the only group out there that's bringing together water providers, wastewater treatment, public officials, business leaders, environmental organizations, community leaders, policy organizations, research. Everybody's at the table, and it's a pretty high value of time, and once a year too. So it fits pretty well with the council's mission around Thrive and its focus on policy and collaboration and partnering. We thought it was a nice fit to be a local host partner. Plus, it's Minnesota and it's July. It's going to be the right time to show off what our region has to offer. And I'll talk a little bit more just how we're doing that, showing off what we've got. So we took the approach that this collaboration will not just be about what the Met Council does, because what we do is really about how we work with so many others who have central roles in what they do. So we formed a planning team to say, what should we do? What do you all want to do? That planning team it's dozens of folks. The governor's office is involved, state agencies, PCA, DNR, agriculture, DEED. Local industries are involved, University of Minnesota, the Nature Conservancy, American Public Media, NPR, Science Museum, and the Minnesota Zoo, McKnight, are all involved and have some connection to water and their mission that has drawn them to be a partner in guiding how we get involved here. So the summit's 3 months away. We've been working at what does that look like and helping shape the agenda so it can reflect local concerns but tie into national policy areas and national things that need to be explored or recognized. So we've been providing input on the agenda and the tours, and those are currently in draft form, but they're looking good, and I'll share just a short list of what they are. We are creating a video that highlights what we're proud of about water in this region, and that'll be shown at the opening plenary, about 3 minutes of something kind of like a high-hitting impact thing rather than interviews is what we're thinking right now. And we're also, I'll talk a little bit about delegations. It's a bit of a unique aspect of how that this is a summit in a summit sense. It's not a conference. So delegations participate in order to commit publicly to what they're going to work together on as a collaboration of partners. And they get an opportunity at the summit to get up on stage and have 30 seconds to publicly commit or reflect on the commitment they made last year. So I've been going pretty fast. You want me to drill into any specific area? Keep trucking. Okay. The agenda, as it stands now, has a handful of items on it, which I thought. And by the way, there's a whole lot more detail on their website. If you Google the U.S. Water Alliance or the One Water Summit 2018, it'll come up. The trick, though, is there's a big blue box on the screen that you have to click that. That thing's like a big button. Once you click it, you can go in and see all the pull downs and see the agenda and the tours and such. So the agenda is, just to read a little bit from the list, is there's a resilience topic, smart water and the cities of tomorrow, Mississippi nutrient dialogue focused on productive agriculture municipal partnerships, which is something we're intensely interested in from a wastewater treatment perspective, a reuse and recovery track, advancing One Water principles, the urban waterfront as an asset, business leadership in the value of water, agricultural leader perspectives on One Water. There's a full track and an institute session on equity in water. There's a component of utility partnering and cooperation, jobs and workforce development, source water protection or safeguarding our sources, engaging elected officials on water, green infrastructure, multiple benefits, financing, municipal collaboration. There's an EPA Q&A session and something on water clusters. And there's a paragraph on the website about each one of those that is very appealing. More toward what the region, and there's a bunch of regional stuff in there, regional speakers and statewide speakers who will be showcasing what we're doing, sharing that and getting back how we can do better with other ideas. There are 6 tours locally that national people will be able to go on. One is they'll get to see advanced water reuse at Target Field. Another one showcases work with Minneapolis and the Mississippi Watershed Management Organization, building green infrastructure that provides clean water benefits and urban livability benefits. There's a One Water research tour at the U, a One Water and sustainable local food and agriculture tour, which also has an equity component with a Hmong family that's a certified water steward at their farm. And there's more detail on that tour on their website. Something about perennial crops as food and fuel, which has a definite water quality benefit, and water reuse with the Native Nations, and that's a Shakopee Metawakan Sioux community tour. So they come and go on at least one tour. I think they'll be impressed. Delegations. So that delegation feature right now, we're putting a lot of energy into forming delegations locally to go and represent collaborations and making progress in our region. And that's more of an organic thing. We can't force people to be a delegate, but it's an opportunity. So we're trying to tee that up and provide that opportunity for delegations to form around the ideas they want to advance. Some of the ideas that are being advanced right now, just some are, and these would be groups of 6 or more people sharing a common interest or geography, who want to collaborate and announce publicly what they're committed to. Would be a community connection. In Northeast Minneapolis, there's a group that's coming around this idea, a higher ed one, and mostly university folks. The One Watershed, One Plan idea, which is more about integrated planning, and the state's advances in that area, and there's a pretty serious commitment to it, so it makes sense. The Sustainable Growth Coalition is another idea, water technology businesses, and I'm just throwing out, it might be an idea that Wassac and TAC for the water supply might be another appropriate delegation, but that's sort of a if you want kind of thing to all those groups, and that's not a Met Council initiative. It's just an opportunity. So we're trying to make that opportunity. We are working to secure some registrations for those council members that want to attend, and also staff. So we're working through what's the best deal we can get, and we haven't got there yet, but stay tuned. And that's all I've got.
Are there questions? So interested council members should give their name to you or to Lisa, or,
Either one, yeah, either one.
okay? Now, Councilmember Wolf, and did anyone else go with us last year?
Ali,
Oh, well,
no other
staff.
council members, yeah.
Yeah. Did you find it worthwhile last year?
Yeah, I learned a lot there. I thought it was really good. I got a much better perspective on how we compare to everywhere else in terms of what we do, because I know what we do, but I hadn't looked that much at what other people do. So learning what's going on in other places was helpful. And if you need us to be doing any of the hosty sort of things too, let me know.
Great, good. Yeah, I think it's worth our time anyway as committee members that we'll meet a lot of interesting people, and there are some interesting ideas going on in other places than here, and you can hear about those. And I personally would like to take the tour down to the Metropolitan Sioux reservation, or wherever you're putting it.
Mhm.
I think that would be just fascinating. So if you're interested, make sure people get your name, and I do think it's worthwhile. I'm glad we're a member, and I'm glad we're having it here in Minnesota. And I think we have a lot to show off. So thank you for getting us involved. Whoever got us involved how many years ago, but thank you.
Madam Chair, I think that would be Lisa. All the credit.
Well, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. And yeah, you can contact either Lisa or myself with any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The last item on the agenda is Lisa.
So as Councilmember Wolf so aptly said, perspective really helps to shed light on things, and I've been picking up more and more of that as I interact with other places across the country in terms of utilities. And so I thought today would be a little bit of perspective sharing. And so cost and quality are two of our key performance indicators. Quality, we refer to our compliance. So I'm going to start with a little bit of compliance perspective. I guess I need somebody to advance. I've only got a couple slides, so Kyle, if you'll help me, that'd be great. So back in history, so this would have been 1990's compliance record. This is a newsletter that we had at the time in 1991, just to set the stage. It was Governor Arnie Carlson, and we had an acting chair of Charlie Weaver. And as you can see from the headline, it was a record high performance for compliance at 99.4%. It was the best overall performance since our discharge permits were first issued. And that's no small feat either. In 1999, the MWCC plants treated 105 billion gallons of wastewater, another record high for that year. So the quote in the article from Charlie Weaver is, "It's hard to argue with a compliance record of 99.4%. The record speaks for itself," Weaver said, pointing out that permit violations were at an all-time low of 9, down from 20 in 1987. So we get excited about our 100% when there's 0, and they were excited about a pretty high number relative to what we see. So that was pretty cool. Now, Kyle, if you'll advance, that was our high in 1990. The next year we went up by a 10th, and they were so excited that Governor Carlson came and presented the awards to our staff. So there was a lot of excitement about an improving compliance record. And it's no less exciting today for us to be having a compliance record that we have at 100%. We've just kind of gotten into the swing of it and take it, not for granted, but we don't have as much of celebration around it. So we are trying to increase that and get around to our plants and have some special events for it so that it doesn't seem like it's lost its shine, because it hasn't. On another issue that's on our cost, this just arrived in my inbox this afternoon, so I don't have a visual to go for it. But every year NACWA does a cost of clean water index. And of course, we're working hard on our budgets, and we're trying to keep our increases down and focus in on that. So it's always interesting to see, well, what's everybody else experiencing? So they do a national average, and a milestone was hit this year. The average cost across the country for wastewater in a year went over $500. So it hit 501. Happy to say that we're more like half of that. So our cost is very good. But the
$100 a year?
yes, on an annual basis. So breaking it down into the stats, the wastewater services rose 3.6% in 2017, which is what brought it up to the $500 mark. This is the 16th consecutive year that wastewater service charges have increased faster than inflation using the Consumer Price Index. Even more significant to that is the projection for the next 5 years. They're projecting that those increases will be from 3 to 4.6% per year for the next 5 years. And it's rehabilitation and repair that is the top driver of those. So hitting the 501, that average annual, now also is another landmark or milestone in that it represents 2.03% of the 2017 federal poverty income threshold for a family of 4, making this the first time this metric has exceeded 2% and getting into the affordability discussion. So there's a lot of things to wrap your arms around. Wastewater rates are rising at a pretty fast rate across the country. We're feeling those pressures, but because we started in a better place and we're working hard to keep those rates down, we're having some pretty good success, thanks to the hard work of staff.
Questions or comments? Yeah, I think it's easy for us to take for granted our performance. It's been so consistent, and I don't know how you get headlines around that, but bring that up, and it is commendable, and it's hard work and dedication, paying attention.
Staff just need to know that we appreciate that they're being diligent and staying on top of it. Good message.
And keeping our costs low. What are our costs now?
So if somebody out there has a specific, but I think we were around 260 for our last average, or for our rate within the Twin Cities. Is that in the ballpark?
274 is sticking.
So we're going to stay kind of in that 40% less than what the national average is.
Terrific. Councilmember Melander?
Just a noteworthy article where we actually were complimented on your SAC. It's not very often that you read the paper and you see something, complimentary about the Med Council. And there was I don't know if it was the Evil City paper or St. Paul. It was one of the two. I read both of them. Pioneer Press. Well, there you go. The Saintly City had a nice article about that. So it's very, so that's congratulations. It was good work, and lots of people are talking about it, which is also unusual that they're saying good things on just, on the streets. So, yeah.
Terrific. If there's nothing further to come before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.